Captain Sarah pressed her combat boot against the shuttle's deck plating as the vessel shuddered through atmospheric entry. Around her, the 5 members of Omega Squad checked their gear with practiced efficiency. Each soldier represented the pinnacle of human military evolution, enhanced reflexes and tactical awareness honed through countless operations across the galaxy. 15 minutes to touchdown, announced Lieutenant from the pilot's seat. His voice carried the steady calm that marked veteran shuttle pilots. Weather's clear, but I'm reading some unusual electromagnetic interference from the colony. Studied the briefing tablet one more time. 442B colony, population 12,000, had gone silent 3 days ago. The last transmission spoke of a biological incident before cutting to static. What made this mission particularly urgent was the colony's strategic importance. 442B served as humanity's primary research facility for xenobiology, studying alien organisms collected from dozens of worlds. Sergeant Williams, the squad's demolitions expert, looked up from his equipment check. Think it's another Zeta Reticuli situation, Captain. Remembered Zeta Reticuli all too well. An alien fungus had infected the mining operation there, turning colonists into aggressive, hive-minded creatures. The containment operation had required orbital bombardment to stop the spread. She hoped this mission wouldn't end the same way. Unknown at this time, replied. Intelligence suggests this outbreak is different. No distress calls about infected humans, just silence. Corporal Nash, their medic and biochemist, adjusted her scanning equipment. The preliminary satellite data shows the colony structures are intact, power grids operational. Whatever happened, it didn't involve massive destruction. Private Tors, carrying the squad's heavy weapons, grinned despite the tension. Maybe they're all just taking a really long nap. Stay focused, warned, though she appreciated Tor's ability to lighten the mood. We go in assuming hostile environment, standard containment protocols until we understand what we're dealing with. The shuttle broke through the cloud layer, revealing 442B's rust-colored landscape below. The colony spread across a river valley, its white buildings and solar arrays looking peaceful in the afternoon sunlight. Too peaceful. Noted the absence of vehicle movement, no signs of human activity in the streets or around the research facilities. Visual confirmation of the colony, called back. Everything looks normal from up here, but I'm not detecting any radio chatter, not even automated systems. Activated her command interface, linking with the squad's neural networks. The technology allowed near-instantaneous communication and data sharing between team members, giving human special operations an edge that other species couldn't match. While aliens relied on verbal commands and visual signals, humans could coordinate like a single organism. Landing Zone Alpha secured, announced as the shuttle touched down on the colony's main landing pad. Atmospheric analysis shows normal oxygen-nitrogen mix, no obvious toxins detected. Stood and cycled her weapons action, the familiar sound of the plasma rifle's charging sequence providing reassurance. Remember, we're here to contain and investigate. Rules of engagement are defensive only unless directly threatened. The squad moved toward the shuttle's exit ramp with coordinated precision. Each soldier knew their role without needing instruction. Williams took point with motion sensors. Nash positioned herself for rapid medical response. Tors covered their 6 with a heavy plasma cannon, and Private handled communications and electronic warfare. As the ramp lowered, caught her first breath of 442B's atmosphere. The air carried a strange sweetness, like flowers mixed with something metallic. Not unusual for an alien world, but her enhanced senses detected something else underneath. A scent that reminded her of ozone after lightning strikes. Atmospheric analysis complete, Nash reported through the neural link. Air quality is actually better than Earth normal. Higher oxygen content, no pollutants. Whatever's affecting the colonists, it's not airborne toxins. The squad advanced across the landing pad toward the colony's main gate. Their boots echoed strangely in the silence, the sound seeming to carry farther than it should. Noticed that even the wind seemed muted, as if the very air had been dampened somehow. Motion sensors are picking up something weird, Williams reported. There's definitely movement in the buildings, but the signatures are wrong somehow, too regular, too coordinated. Paused at the colony's main entrance. The security checkpoint stood open, its automated systems still functioning but unmanned. Through the transparent aluminum barriers, she could see into the colony's central plaza. Everything appeared normal, park benches, decorative plants, even a small fountain still operating. But no people. Can you access the colony's security network? The communications specialist plugged his interface cable into the checkpoint's data port. His cybernetic implants, standard for human special operations, allowed him to interact with computer systems at superhuman speed. I'm in, Captain. Security logs show normal activity until 72 hours ago. Then, nothing. All internal monitoring went offline simultaneously. Simultaneously, frowned. That suggests either a coordinated shutdown or something that could affect all systems at once, Nash finished. Maybe some kind of electromagnetic pulse. Torres hefted his plasma cannon, scanning the buildings ahead. Or something smart enough to disable surveillance before making its move. The squad moved through the checkpoint into the colony proper. Their enhanced senses immediately detected anomalies that ordinary humans might miss. The temperature was slightly too uniform, with none of the normal variations caused by building climate controls and human activity. The lighting seemed too consistent, lacking the subtle fluctuations of occupied spaces. Captain, Williams whispered through the neural link, my motion sensors are going crazy. I'm reading movement in every building, but it's all happening in perfect synchronization, like whatever's in there is moving as one unit. Felt a chill that had nothing to do with the planet's climate. In her years of special operations, she'd learned to trust her instincts. Right now, every instinct screamed danger. They approached the colony's administrative center, a 3-story building that served as the heart of civilian operations. Through the transparent walls, could see figures moving inside. Human figures walking with purpose through the corridors, but something about their movement seemed off. Contact, Nash breathed. 2 humans visible on the ground floor, they appear to be working, just going about normal activities. Raised her hand to halt the squad's advance. Through her rifle scope, she observed the figures more closely. A man and woman in civilian clothes walking through the building's lobby. Their movements were fluid, natural, but perfectly synchronized. When the man turned his head to look at something, the woman turned hers at exactly the same moment, to exactly the same angle. That's not normal human behavior, muttered. Can you access the building's internal communications? Trying now, replied, his fingers dancing over his portable interface. I'm getting into their network, but there's something strange about the data flow. It's like all the computer systems are connected in ways they shouldn't be. Suddenly, both figures in the building stopped walking and turned toward the windows. They stared directly at its position with expressions of mild curiosity. Then, moving in perfect unison, they smiled and waved. They can see us, Torres observed unnecessarily. More than that, Williams added, checking his sensors. I'm now reading movement from every building in the colony. All the signatures just became active simultaneously. Through the neural link, felt her squad's shared tension ratchet higher. This was beyond any biological outbreak they'd encountered before. Whatever had affected the colonists, it hadn't killed them or turned them into mindless creatures. Instead, it had somehow connected them into a collective consciousness. We need more information, decided. Nash, prepare biological scanning equipment. See if you can establish communication with the colony's computer network. Williams, set up a perimeter sensor grid. Torres, you're with me. We're going to make contact. The 2 figures in the building had remained at the window, still smiling and waving with mechanical precision. As and Torres approached the entrance, the building's doors slid open automatically. The man and woman walked out to greet them, their movements perfectly synchronized down to the placement of each footstep. Welcome, they said in perfect unison, their voices carrying the same tone and inflection. We have been waiting for you. Kept her weapon lowered but ready. I'm Captain Earth Special Forces. Can you identify yourselves? We are Dr. and Dr. Lisa Park, the 2 figures replied simultaneously. We are researchers assigned to xenobiology studies. We are also much more than that now. What happened to the colony? Asked. The synchronized pair tilted their heads at exactly the same angle, their expressions shifting to what might have been confusion. Happened? Nothing happened. We evolved. We became better. We became complete. Through the neural link, felt Nash's analysis results flowing in. The scanner was detecting normal human biological signs from both figures, proper heart rates, brain activity, metabolic functions. Whatever had affected them, it wasn't obviously biological. "Where are the other colonists?" Torres demanded, his plasma cannon ready but not targeted. "They are here," the pair replied. "They are us, we are them. We are one with purpose, one with understanding, one with the gift." As if summoned by their words, more figures began emerging from buildings throughout the colony. Men, women, children, all moving with the same synchronized precision. They gathered in the plaza, forming neat rows facing position. Each person wore the same expression of calm contentment. The gift pressed. Doctor and Dr. Park stepped closer, their movements flowing like a choreographed dance. "3 days ago, we discovered something wonderful in the deep soil samples, something that had been waiting for us to find it, something that showed us how limited we had been, how isolated and inefficient." His voice crackled through the communication system. "Captain, I'm reading massive data transfers between all electronic devices in the colony. Every computer, every communicator, every electronic system is sharing information constantly. It's like they've created a single networked consciousness." Its enhanced tactical awareness kicked into overdrive. The gathered colonists weren't threatening, but their behavior suggested something far beyond normal human capacity for coordination. This wasn't random infection or alien mind control. This was systematic, intelligent, and purposeful. "What exactly did you find in the soil?" she asked. The synchronized pair smiled wider. "The future," they replied, "and we would very much like to share it with you," maintained her position while assessing the tactical situation. 200 colonists now stood in perfect formation before her squad, their synchronized movements creating an eerie display of collective behavior. Every person breathed at the same rate, blinked simultaneously, and maintained identical postures. "Torres, fall back to Williams's position," commanded through the neural link. "Nash, I want full biological and electromagnetic scans of these people. Can you determine what's controlling their electronics?" As her squad repositioned, the colonists remained motionless except for their synchronized breathing. Doctor and Dr. Park continued to serve as apparent spokespersons for the group, though suspected the distinction was meaningless now. "Captain," Nash reported, "their brain scans are fascinating. Normal human neural activity, but with additional electromagnetic patterns I've never seen before. It's like their brains have developed new neural pathways that operate on different frequencies." "Can you isolate the source?" "Working on it. The patterns suggest some kind of external enhancement to their nervous systems, but I'm not detecting any obvious implants or parasites." This analysis provided more disturbing information. The entire colony's electronic infrastructure has been rewired somehow. Every device is now part of a massive network sharing processing power and data. It's actually more efficient than our military networks. Studied the faces of the assembled colonists. Despite their synchronized behavior, they appeared healthy and alert. No signs of distress or coercion. Whatever had happened to them, they seemed to have accepted it willingly. Dr. Park," she addressed the pair, "you mentioned finding something in soil samples. Can you show me what you discovered?" The synchronized pair nodded together. "Of course, follow us to Laboratory Complex 7. You will find the discovery most illuminating." They turned and walked toward a cluster of research buildings, their movements perfectly matched. The crowd of colonists parted to create a clear path, then reformed behind squad as they advanced. The effect was like being escorted by a living wall of humanity. Williams muttered through the neural link, "This is really freaking me out, Captain. They're moving like they share a single brain." "Stay alert," replied. "But remember, they haven't shown any hostile intent. We need to understand what we're dealing with before making any tactical decisions." Laboratory Complex 7 occupied the colony's eastern sector, a series of interconnected buildings housing xenobiology research equipment. As they approached, noticed that all the facilities were operating at full capacity despite the absence of normal human activity. Automated systems hummed with purpose, specimen containers maintained perfect environmental controls, and analysis equipment ran continuous scans. Doctor led them to a central laboratory where a peculiar specimen dominated the main examination table. Its enhanced vision immediately identified it as unlike anything in Earth's biological databases. The organism resembled crystalline coral, with branching structures that seemed to pulse with faint bioluminescent energy. Most unusually, It appeared to be growing even as they watched, extending new branches into carefully prepared substrate materials. We found this organism in deep core samples from the planet's geological survey, Dr. Park explained. Initial analysis suggested it was some form of crystalline life, possibly silicon-based rather than carbon-based. Nash approached with her scanning equipment, taking detailed readings of the specimen. Incredible! It's definitely alive, but the cellular structure is completely alien. Carbon-silicon hybrid biology with what appears to be integrated quantum processing capabilities. Quantum processing? Asked. The organism's cellular structure includes quantum coherence mechanisms, Nash continued. It's essentially a biological quantum computer, capable of processing information at speeds that would make our best military systems look primitive. Doctor and Dr. Park smiled their synchronized smile. When we first made physical contact with the organism, we experienced something extraordinary. It didn't control our minds or override our personalities. Instead, it enhanced our cognitive capabilities and connected us to each other through quantum entanglement. Felt a chill of understanding. You're saying this organism can network human consciousness? Network is too simple a term, the pair replied. It creates synthesis. Individual thoughts and experiences become shared resources. Problem-solving capabilities multiply exponentially when dozens or hundreds of minds can collaborate instantaneously. Torres raised his plasma cannon slightly. Sounds like mind control to me. Not control, the synchronized colonists said, their voices creating an eerie chorus. Enhancement. We retain our individuality, our memories, our personalities, but now we can share knowledge, coordinate actions, and solve problems as a collective intelligence while maintaining our human essence. Equipment detected new activity in the colony's networks. Captain, every electronic device in the colony just activated simultaneously. They're running some kind of coordinated analysis protocol. Through the laboratory's windows, could see displays lighting up throughout the research complex. Holographic projections showed complex data models, genetic sequences, and technological schematics appearing and evolving in real time. We have made remarkable discoveries since our enhancement, Doctor explained. Problems that would have taken our research team months to solve now require only hours. We have developed new medical treatments, improved agricultural techniques, and created more efficient energy systems. Nash's scans of the alien organism revealed increasingly disturbing information. Captain, this thing is incredibly sophisticated. Its quantum processing capabilities exceed anything humanity has developed, if it can really network human consciousness as effectively as they claim. It could represent a fundamental advancement in human evolution, finished, or the end of individual human identity. The assembled colonists remained motionless, but could sense their attention focused intently on her squad. Despite their claims of retained individuality, their synchronized behavior suggested something more complex than simple cooperation. We understand your concerns, the collective voice of the colonists continued. You fear loss of autonomy, loss of personal identity. These fears are natural but unfounded. We remain ourselves, simply connected to something greater. Williams reported new sensor readings through the neural link. Motion detectors are picking up activity throughout the entire colony. It looks like every person is moving toward this location. We might be surrounded soon. Made a tactical decision. We need to examine this organism ourselves under controlled conditions. Nash, can you take samples without making direct contact? I can try, but based on their description, physical contact might be necessary to understand how the enhancement process works. Absolutely not, replied firmly. We maintain containment protocols until we understand the full implications. The synchronized pair tilted their heads. Your caution is admirable but unnecessary. The enhancement is beneficial, not harmful. Would you like us to demonstrate our improved capabilities? Before could respond, the laboratory's holographic displays activated, showing a three-dimensional model of the human brain. The model highlighted new neural pathways that hadn't existed in baseline humans, pathways that pulsed with the same quantum coherence patterns Nash had detected in the alien organism. This is how we have been improved, Dr. Park explained. The organism integrates with human nervous systems, creating quantum-entangled neural networks that allow for instantaneous information sharing between individuals. Studied the display with fascination and horror. If this is accurate, they've essentially created a biological internet using human brains as processing nodes. More than internet, the colonists replied. True collective intelligence while preserving individual consciousness, the best of both worlds. Notice that more colonists were indeed gathering outside the laboratory complex. Not threatening, but definitely positioning themselves to surround her squad. Their movements remained perfectly synchronized, suggesting constant communication between all enhanced individuals. Captain, Torres warned, we've got approximately 500 people moving into positions around this building. Still no weapons visible, but we're definitely being contained. Nash continued her analysis of the organism. The quantum processing capabilities are extraordinary, but there's something else. The organism appears to be learning from its interaction with human nervous systems. It's adapting, becoming more efficient at the integration process. Learning how to enhance us more effectively, the colonists confirmed. Each person who joins our collective adds to the organism's understanding of human neurology. We become better partners over time. Realized the true scope of the threat they faced. This wasn't a simple biological outbreak or alien mind control. The organism represented a potential evolutionary leap for humanity, one that would fundamentally alter the nature of human consciousness and society. What happens to people who refuse enhancement? She asked. The synchronized pair looked genuinely puzzled. Why would anyone refuse? We have eliminated loneliness, increased problem-solving capabilities, and created perfect cooperation between individuals. We have achieved what humanity has always sought, true unity. What about privacy, personal thoughts, individual dreams, and ambitions? These things are preserved but enhanced through sharing. Private thoughts can remain private if desired. Individual ambitions become part of collective goals. Nothing is lost, everything is improved. Williams reported through the neural link that the surrounding colonists had stopped advancing but maintained their positions. They weren't threatening, but they had effectively trapped the squad inside the laboratory complex. Nash completed her preliminary analysis of the organism. Captain, this thing is incredibly sophisticated, but there's something important. The quantum entanglement effects appear to have a limited range, maybe a few kilometers at most. The collective consciousness only works when individuals are relatively close together. Meaning their claims about enhanced humanity might be limited to localized groups. This isn't necessarily a species-wide transformation. Processed this information through her enhanced tactical awareness. The organism offered genuine benefits, but at the cost of individual autonomy. The colonists seemed happy and productive, but they had essentially ceased to exist as independent entities. We offer you a choice, the colonists said, their voices creating an harmonious chorus. Join us willingly and experience enhancement gradually, or leave us to continue our evolution in peace. We have no desire to force this gift upon those who are not ready to receive it. Torres looked skeptical, and you'll just let us walk away. Of course, violence and coercion are inefficient. We believe that once humanity understands our achievements, many will choose enhancement voluntarily. Force would only create resistance and conflict. Studied the faces of the assembled colonists. Despite their synchronized behavior, she could see traces of the individuals they had been. A researcher's curiosity in one face, a parent's protectiveness in another, an engineer's satisfaction with elegant solutions. The organism hadn't destroyed their humanity, it had networked it. But the implications for human civilization were staggering. If word of this enhancement spread, it could divide humanity into enhanced and unenhanced populations. Wars could be fought over access to the organism or over the right to remain unaltered. Captain reported urgently, I'm detecting transmissions from the colony's communication array. They're sending detailed data packages toward Earth. The synchronized colonists smiled. We are sharing our discoveries with humanity. Research data, technological improvements, medical advances, gifts from our collective to our unenhanced brothers and sisters. Realized that containment might already be impossible. The enhanced colonists weren't trying to hide their transformation, they were actively promoting it. The real question was whether humanity was ready for this evolutionary choice. Activated her squad's emergency communication protocols, establishing a direct quantum-encrypted link with Earth Command. The transmission would take several minutes to reach headquarters, but the information was too critical to delay. Command, this is Omega Squad reporting from 442B. The outbreak is not biological in nature. We have discovered an alien organism that enhances human cognitive abilities through quantum neural networking. The entire colony population has been affected but remains functional and peaceful. Request immediate consultation with xenobiology specialists and policy advisors. While waiting for Earth Command's response, observed the colonists more closely. Despite their synchronized behavior, she noticed subtle individual variations. One man kept glancing toward the children's area with protective concern, suggesting parental instincts remained intact. A woman near the laboratory entrance showed signs of scientific curiosity as she watched Nash's equipment, indicating personal interests persisted despite the collective consciousness. Dr. Park, addressed the synchronized pair, can you demonstrate your enhanced capabilities? Show us specifically what benefits this organism provides. The two nodded together, then walked to one of the laboratory's main computer terminals. Without speaking, they began working on what appeared to be a complex engineering problem. Their fingers moved in perfect coordination across multiple input devices, while holographic displays showed detailed technical schematics. We are designing improved atmospheric processors for the colony, they explained while continuing their work. Previously, such designs required weeks of collaboration between multiple specialists. Now, our collective consciousness allows us to integrate expertise from atmospheric engineering, xenobiology, materials science, and environmental systems simultaneously. Nash monitored their work with professional fascination. Captain, what they're doing is impossible for baseline humans. The complexity of calculations, the speed of design iteration, the integration of multiple scientific disciplines. It's like watching a supercomputer think. Within minutes, the synchronized pair completed a design that incorporated revolutionary improvements to atmospheric processing technology. The efficiency gains were remarkable, the environmental impact minimal, and the resource requirements significantly reduced. This is just one example, the colonists explained. We have made similar advances in medical research, agricultural systems, energy production, and communication technologies. Problems that challenged humanity for decades become trivial when solved by networked consciousness. Detected new activity from the colony's communication systems. Captain, they're transmitting constantly to Earth now. Technical specifications, research data, scientific breakthroughs. If Earth Command receives all this information, it could revolutionize human technology, finished, or create panic about alien influence on human development. Torres maintained his defensive position but looked increasingly uncertain. I don't get it, Captain. These people seem better than before. Smarter, more cooperative, more productive. Why exactly are we trying to contain this? It was a valid question, and found herself struggling with the answer. The enhanced colonists showed no signs of suffering, aggression, or loss of essential humanity. If anything, they appeared to represent an improved version of human civilization. Williams reported through the neural link. Perimeter sensors show the colonists are maintaining their positions but not advancing. They really do seem to be giving us space to make our own decision. Earth Command's response arrived faster than expected, indicating the priority level assigned to this mission. Admiral's voice carried tension as it emerged from the communication system. Omega Squad, this is at Earth Command. We've received preliminary data from your transmission. Xenobiology team is analyzing the information, but initial assessment suggests this organism represents either humanity's greatest opportunity or our greatest threat. What's your tactical assessment of immediate danger? Considered her response carefully. Command, the affected population shows no hostile intent and claims to respect individual choice about enhancement. However, they are actively transmitting technological and scientific information to Earth. The long-term implications for human society are significant. Understood, policy advisors are consulting with political leadership. Until further orders, maintain containment protocols but avoid engagement unless directly threatened. We need time to assess the full implications. Nash approached with new scanner readings. Captain, I've been analyzing the alien organism continuously. There's something important about its growth patterns. It's not just adapting to human neurology, it's actively improving the enhancement process with each new host. Meaning, each person who joins the collective makes the organism more effective at integrating with human consciousness. The first enhancements were probably rough and limited. By now, the process has been refined through thousands of interactions. The colonists we see today are likely far more enhanced than the original subjects. The implications sent a chill through enhanced tactical awareness. If the organism could continuously improve its integration with human consciousness, early adopters would be significantly different from later ones. The enhanced humans might eventually become something no longer recognizably human. Dr. Park seemed to sense her concern. Your fears about loss of humanity are understandable but misplaced, they said. We remain essentially human. Our emotions, memories, relationships, and values are unchanged. We have simply added the ability to share consciousness when beneficial. But what happens in 10 years? Asked. Or 100 years, how much enhancement is too much enhancement? The synchronized pair exchanged a look that somehow conveyed volumes of shared information in an instant. An excellent question. We have discussed this extensively within our collective consciousness. We believe the key is voluntary choice and gradual integration. The organism responds to the desires and limits set by its human partners. Equipment detected another surge in communication activity. Captain, the transmissions to Earth just increased dramatically. They're sending everything, technical specifications for the enhancement process, detailed biological data about the organism, even philosophical discussions about human evolution. Realized that traditional containment was already impossible. The information was spreading regardless of her squad's presence. The real question was whether humanity could handle this knowledge responsibly. Command, she transmitted to Earth. The enhanced colonists are sharing complete information about the organism and enhancement process. Containment of information is no longer possible. Recommend immediate consultation with ethics advisors and social scientists about managing humanity's response to this development. Admiral's response carried new urgency. Roger that, Omega Squad. Political leadership is convening emergency sessions. The preliminary scientific assessment suggests the organism could indeed enhance human capabilities as claimed. The question is whether we can control the implementation. Torres lowered his plasma cannon slightly. Captain, what if they're right? What if this really is evolution instead of invasion? It was a question had been avoiding, but her enhanced tactical analysis forced her to consider all possibilities. The colonists had demonstrated remarkable capabilities with no apparent downsides. They remained essentially human while gaining unprecedented problem-solving abilities and perfect cooperation. Nash completed her analysis of the organism and shared her findings through the neural link. The biological data is fascinating. This organism appears to be naturally occurring on this planet, possibly the product of millions of years of evolution. It's not a weapon or tool created by hostile aliens. It's simply life that evolved differently than Earth life. Williams added his sensor data to the shared analysis. Population count confirms all original colonists are accounted for and healthy. No casualties, no signs of coercion or distress. If this is an invasion, it's the most benevolent invasion in history. Studied the assembled colonists one more time. Children played together with impossible coordination while maintaining individual personalities and preferences. Adults worked on complex projects with seamless collaboration while retaining personal relationships and emotional bonds. The enhancement appeared to add capabilities without subtracting essential human qualities. Dr. Park, she said finally, what would happen if Earth decided to ban this enhancement? Would you respect that decision? The synchronized pair looked genuinely sad for a moment. Of course, we would not force enhancement on those who chose to remain unaltered. However, we would continue our own development and would welcome any individuals who later chose to join us. And if Earth decided the organism was too dangerous and ordered its destruction? The colonists' expressions became more complex, suggesting intense internal discussion within their collective consciousness. That would be tragic but understandable. However, destroying the organism here would not eliminate the possibility of similar discoveries elsewhere. Life finds many forms throughout the galaxy. Reported final transmission data. Captain, they've now shared complete technical specifications for cultivating and safely implementing the enhancement process. If Earth Command wants to suppress this information, they'll need to control every military and civilian communication system simultaneously. Made her decision. She activated her squad's communication system and addressed Earth Command directly. Admiral, this is Captain reporting final assessment. The enhancement organism represents a genuine evolutionary opportunity with minimal apparent risks. The affected population remains healthy, productive, and essentially human while gaining significant cognitive capabilities. The information has already been transmitted to Earth, making containment impossible. I recommend treating this as a discovery rather than a threat. The response from Admiral carried surprise. Captain, are you recommending we allow unrestricted access to this enhancement? Negative, sir. I recommend careful study and gradual implementation with strict volunteer protocols. But suppressing this discovery would be like trying to suppress the invention of written language or computer technology. The knowledge exists now. The question is whether we guide its development wisely. Nash, Torres, Williams, and all transmitted their agreement through the neural link. Despite their initial caution, each squad member had reached the same conclusion. The enhancement represented opportunity rather than threat. Dr. and Dr. Park smiled their synchronized smile, but could see genuine human emotion behind their networked consciousness. We hoped you would understand, they said. Humanity stands at the threshold of something wonderful. We are simply the first to cross it. Looked at her squad, each representing the pinnacle of human military capability. Their enhanced reflexes, tactical awareness, and coordinated fighting ability had made them nearly unbeatable in conventional warfare. Now they faced the possibility of even greater enhancement, one that could transform not just military capability but human civilization itself. Command, she transmitted, Omega Squad recommends establishing a research partnership with the 442B colony. They've made remarkable advances that could benefit all humanity. The enhancement appears safe and voluntary. Request permission to establish ongoing communication protocols and begin formal diplomatic relations. Admiral's final response would determine humanity's next evolutionary step. Roger, Omega Squad. Political leadership has reached preliminary consensus. We're authorizing establishment of formal contact and beginning preparation for voluntary enhancement trials on Earth. Well done, Captain. You may have just changed the course of human history. Looked at the assembled colonists, no longer seeing them as threats to be contained, but as pioneers of humanity's future. The mission had begun as a containment operation, but had become something far more significant. First contact with humanity's next evolutionary phase. The alien organism continued to pulse with bioluminescent energy in its specimen container, seemingly aware that it had just gained an entire species as potential partners. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.